Today, we're going to dig into some really old wisdom, the kind that's been passed down for generations. It's all wrapped up in 10 simple fables, but each one has a seriously powerful lesson. So let's explore what these timeless tales can teach us about living a more meaningful life.
It's a fantastic question, right? I mean, we spend so much time looking for these complicated, high-tech answers to life's big problems. But what if the most profound truths have been right in front of us all along, just in the simplest stories? We're going to explore that idea together, one story at a time.
So first up, we're looking inward. Because before you can change anything out there in the world, you really have to master the world inside your own head. These first few fables are all about our perspective, our beliefs, and finding our purpose. Okay, try to imagine this scene. The ground is just cracked and dry, the sun is beating down, and absolutely everyone else has packed it in. They're convinced it's a lost cause. But this one farmer, he goes out there every single day, planting seeds right into the dust. He's running on pure faith.
And you know what happened? When the rains finally came, his was the only field that was ready. It just exploded with life while everyone else's land was still barren. It just goes to show you, his faith wasn't just some passive feeling. It was the action he took that set him up for success.
All right, let's switch gears to another huge idea. There's this eagle, right? But it grew up pecking at the ground, clucking like a chicken, with absolutely no clue about what it really was. It would look up at the sky and think, wow, but that's not for me. It literally trapped itself with the story it told itself was true.
It was only when it dared, just dared, to challenge that belief, to actually stretch its wings and give it a try, that it discovered it was meant for the heavens. It's such a perfect reminder that so often our potential isn't limited by our ability, but by our own self-doubt.
Oh, I love this little parable. You've got this tiny key, and it's just looking at all the bigger, stronger things around it and feeling completely useless. And it's easy to feel that way sometimes, isn't it? To feel like you're just too small to ever make a real difference.
But here's what the key eventually figures out. It was perfectly, absolutely perfectly, designed for one very specific and incredibly important job. Its size didn't matter at all. Its purpose was everything. That's a powerful thought. Our unique role is what gives us our real value.
Okay, let's move on to our next section, because this is where it all starts to build. We've talked about mindset, right? But that's just the starting line. Now we're going to look at what it actually takes to make those beliefs real. And that comes down to three things: patience, practice, and process.
So picture this kid. Day in, day out, he's just chipping away at this ugly, shapeless chunk of rock. And of course, his friends are all mocking him. What are you doing? You're wasting your time. From the outside, it looks completely pointless, just messy work that's going nowhere.
But he sticks with it. He trusts the process. And slowly, so slowly, out of that rough stone, a masterpiece starts to emerge. It's such a powerful lesson. Real beauty, great achievements, they're almost never born overnight. They're carved out piece by painstaking piece through patient effort.
This actually brings us to another great little story about a girl learning to draw. And her first attempts? Oh, they were total failures. But she didn't stop there. She just kept practicing, constantly, refining her skills bit by bit, day by day. This three-step process? Well, that's pretty much the universal path to getting great at anything.
This whole idea is perfectly captured by the bamboo tree. For years, sometimes up to 5 years, it shows almost no growth above ground. You'd think nothing is happening. But underneath the surface, it's building this massive, complex root system. And then, suddenly, it shoots up 90 feet in just a few weeks. Most of the real work is the preparation that you just don't see.
Our last story in this part is about a student who really got this whole long game principle. While everyone else was sleeping in or getting distracted, this student was up early, studying every day, and just laying the foundation for his future, one small, disciplined effort at a time.
And the moral here is just so simple and direct. It's not about these grand, heroic moments. Real success is just the sum of all those small, disciplined efforts, repeated day in and day out. That right there is the power of playing the long game.
All right, so for our final part, we're going to shift our focus. We've looked at our internal world and our long-term plans. Now let's talk about how we act, right here, right now. This is the outer game, where our character is really forged by how we interact with the world around us.
This is such a simple but really profound story. So a man is carrying this incredibly heavy bag of salt. But as he starts to walk across a river, the salt begins to dissolve in the water. His burden actually gets lighter. not because he struggled harder, but because the situation itself transformed his load.
The lesson here is all about adaptability. Sometimes the best way to lighten our load isn't to fight against it, but to just keep moving forward and let the situation change things. We have to learn to roll with the punches and adjust. Okay, let's talk about character. Here's a shopkeeper who could have so easily, cheated his customers just a little bit to make some extra money. Nobody would have noticed, but he chose to have integrity every single time.
And the result of that choice? Well, his reputation became his single greatest asset. People came from all over to buy from him because they knew he was fair. It's a fantastic example of how honesty isn't a cost, it's an investment, and it pays the best dividends you can imagine.
So our last fable is just about pure, selfless action. A young boy finds a dog that's in pain, and without a second thought, he helps it. There's nobody watching, he's not expecting a reward, it's just a simple, genuine act of compassion. But the story doesn't stop there. Sometime later, that very same dog ends up saving the boy from danger. It's this beautiful metaphor for how the good we put out into the world, well, it has a funny way of finding its way back to us, often when we least expect it.
So, after all that, what have we learned? It pretty much boils down to these core virtues. From the inner game of having faith and self-belief, to the long game of patience and discipline, all the way to the outer game of honesty and kindness. These are not just words on a screen. They are the actual building blocks of a meaningful life.
So yeah, the fables are finished, but their lessons are really just getting started. The real question now is for you. Which of these virtues are you going to carry forward? What's the moral of your story going to be? Thanks for joining me on this one.